Hello everyone, I'm sure many of you are happy to see that it didn't take over a year to post the next video. Hopefully, I can keep the rhythm up. For those of you that didn't see episode 1, in this series I will be picking a comment from the comment section and turning their idea into a Pokemon. Originally, I was only going to pick one per video until the channel grew a bit more, but the amount of comments you all left was insane. There were so many great ideas that I had to pick at least one more. And while for obvious reasons I can't pick every single comment, I did see a few comments that wanted to see something similar to stuff that I already did in the past. So I thought there would be a great opportunity to show it off in this video. Anyway, enough yapping around, let's get started. The first Pokemon I'm going to show you is this one, commissioned to me through Instagram. Funny enough, I wasn't given a single prompt. The client wanted me to spin a wheel the same way Pokédex Fillers does. You probably never heard of him, just a small YouTuber who hasn't been growing like crazy in the last year. So the results of the wheel were a bug, a normal type Pokemon with a signature move. As for its power level, it's a regular Pokemon. Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, that's my thing!
Okay, sorry. I based the Pokemon on the Velvet Worm. What makes this worm special is that it shoots a sticky substance that traps its prey. I compared this concept with glue and thought of ideas related to it, such as paper crafting. So I thought that would be fun if it stuck pieces of cardboard on its face to make it look scary like if it were disguised. Meet Gloodle, the crafty Pokemon. It uses resources it finds in order to craft ornaments that sticks to its body. Thanks to this, it intimidates its opponents who don't seem to realise that the eyes are fake, and it's actually a super cute and harmless Pokemon. If it ever feels in danger, it will shoot a sticky goo to trap the opposing Pokemon, giving it time to escape. As for the abilities, I think that Sticky Hold and Gooey were obvious picks, and Intimidate for its hidden ability, as it scares its foes with its disguise. For the evolution, I wanted to go beyond the original design and make it look bigger and more intimidating by adding more spikes. But still, having a cute and derpy face like that of a Clodsire. In case you didn't notice, the antennas are supposed to resemble the shape of scissor handles. Not because they have a similar function, but just as a reference as it's related to the concept and it gives a more interesting shape to the design. Meet Glugimon. Its name is supposed to be a mix of glue and boogeyman, as it's supposed to try and scare others. This Pokemon has become much larger than its pre-evolution, so running away and hiding isn't much of an option. So it needs to go all out with its craftsmanship. Although it may seem scary for the untrained eye, it's actually a super docile Pokemon, although a bit of a coward. As for its stats, I think it should be more of a support mon. Relatively low offences, but decent bulk, especially on the special side. And with its custom move, Gooey Shot, it lowers all of the opponent's speed by 2 stages. The next designs are probably some of my favourites ever. So the prompt for this one was a 2-stage turtle Pokemon with dark and fighting type combination. With that in mind, I remembered a really cool turtle I saw some time ago called the Cinemus Gamera, which stands out because of it having 2 spines protruding from its sides. This shape made me think of shurikens, so I went with a ninja turtle that spins super fast. Meet Ninling, the spinning star Pokemon. It spins at incredible fast speed, cutting anything in its path with the sharp protrusions coming out of its shell. Of course, being a ninja, I had to make the shiny black. As for the evolution, the client wanted it to look more fierce. I struggled a bit with the design at first because of its functionality. It was hard to make something with such a big shell look like it could freely move. I also wanted a more interesting shuriken shape instead of this symmetric star shape from its pre-evolution. So I went with some curvature on the blades. However, this made the perspective a little complicated, but I think it turned out pretty well in the end. What do you think? Meet Kamekon. This Pokemon has a very heavy shell, although it doesn't influence its speed. Sometimes, after a big attack, it would pretend to hide in its shell. However, while the enemy is distracted with the shell, it will appear from behind, revealing that it left its shell behind when it wasn't looking. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be picking an idea from the comment section and draw that Pokemon. today's video I choose this idea about a candy cyclops by the final Cargonus, as well as Kelly Hollow, who also wanted a candy themed Pokemon. So while drawing this Pokemon, I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be very muscly or more rounded. In the end, I went for the more rounded design, and I feel like it gives it a more friendly shape. I also added the peppermint eye, which I think could be fun if the Pokemon was capable of sticking it in different places and constantly losing it. In order to not make it look too naked, I added some clothes that would resemble the wrap from Chocolate Bar, which is jagged aluminium bits, making it look more barbarian. Meet Candyclops, the colossal Pokemon. It has quite a sweet tooth, so it's constantly searching for towns in order to steal all their candy. Sometimes it will even kidnap the children in order to get what it wants. It wields a powerful cannon in its arm that could blow up a whole town. As for its stat spread, I imagine it being very slow, a mixed attacker, and with a really high special defense, as squishy looking Pokemon generally have a high special defense. Next, we have another idea picked from the comments. There were a few people who wanted similar things that I felt like could blend together quite well. Thug Life Dylan wanted a Pokemon based on exploding toads. Manmanek wanted an exploding Pokemon that doesn't receive recoil damage from explosions. And Adriel Morales just wanted a fire frog that evolves into a fire poison type. So let's get ahead and do that. Meet Bomblet, the exploding frog Pokemon. This fire type Pokemon has flame shaped tail that it uses to scare off enemies. If it doesn't work, then it will start inflating to make itself bigger. However, if it inflates too much, it would cause a massive explosion, sacrificing itself for the well-being of its school. As for abilities, I thought that Aftermath was very fitting, as well as Flame Body, which always works for a fire type. And for its hidden ability, I went with Reckless, which powers attacks that cause recoil. Now, I know this doesn't officially apply to Explosion, but I think it should. As for the evolution, I wasn't too sure what to do at first with the exploding frog concept. I first tried shaping it like a bomb, but it felt too similar to a fake mon that I saw a long time ago, so I went with a different approach. What if instead of it being the one that explodes, it throws its children like grenades, similar to what Dragapult does? Also, many frogs often carry their eggs in the back, inside some mucus or something, so I decided that it also carries its young in some kind of sack. Meet Frogaboom, the exploding frog Pokemon. This fire and poison type carries its young inside a sack stuck on its back made out of mucus. When it feels in danger, it will throw one of them towards the enemy in order for them to explode. The young Bomblet are oblivious to this, so they don't seem to care. As for its abilities, they all stay the same except for the hidden ability, which I decided to turn into a custom one called Frog of War, which makes it so that it doesn't faint when using moves like Self-Destruct or Explosion, as suggested by the comment. As for the stats, I decided to not give it stats that are too high, especially on the offense side, considering it can learn Explosion, a 200 damage move without any drawbacks, so I had to balance it out somehow. As for the final design of the day, I'm sure many of you have already seen it, but I think it's interesting to get a different perspective, where I show you how the idea came to be. This viewer asked for a Pokemon that represented the culmination of all of humanity's scientific discoveries, and Blazerpix wanted a Pokemon that evolved through multiple types of scraps, which just so happens to fit perfectly with inventor. Originally, this was a commission for Pokédex fillers, where he spun the wheel and got a fossil Pokemon with split evolutions. The original type was Rock and Steel, which I thought was absolute ass, but eventually ideas came through. The Steel type makes me think of technology, which contrasts a lot with dinosaurs, so I decided to give it a go and make an inventor dinosaur. I searched for what dinosaur is considered the most intelligent, and it seems to be their Velociraptor, which is also quite a small dinosaur, so it makes sense that it uses its technology to improve its body. Meet Inventor, the inventor Pokemon. This Rock and Steel type Pokemon was way ahead of its time, but thanks to being revived in modern times, it could now build its own evolutions, showing its full potential. As for abilities, I think stuff like Technician, Analytic and Download work quite well as it shows how smart it is. As for the stats, I went with a perfectly balanced stat spread, which it will then enhance when it evolves depending on what it needs. One commentator mentioned that they wanted to train Pokemon, which happens to be one of the split evolutions the inventor has, so I hope this one is to your liking. The idea for this design came from a very long time ago, when Colossal was revealed. I was quite disappointed by its design. I was expecting more of a trained dinosaur, so I redesigned it. Although my redesign wasn't very good, as it was done a long time ago, it did serve as a reference for this evolution. Meet Petrodon, the trained Pokemon. This Pokemon is constantly burning up its own tail, which is the source of its fuel. Thanks to this, it continuously gains momentum, allowing it to strike its opponent at great speeds. I'm thinking it could learn a move that uses its speed stats instead of attack, which would work well with its hidden ability, Speed Boost, making it an absolute menace if you don't deal with it fast. As I mentioned, Inventor has more evolutions. The next one was based on a Spinosaurus, which I saw many viewers wanted. The idea is pretty simple. I wanted each one of the evolutions to represent a human form of transport, each one representing a different terrain. In this case, it would be water, so I had to do a boat Pokemon. And what dinosaur would fit this more than a Spinosaurus, who looks like it has a sail on its back? Meet Submodon, the sail Pokemon. While not the fastest Pokemon, if it happens to catch you in the water, it's game over. Thanks to its powerful jaw, it will easily trap you and submerge you. As for its hidden ability, I think that Swift Swim is the most logical one. A rainy storm would make it incredibly fast, as well as powering its water type attacks, making it very dangerous if you don't have something to get rid of the rain. And finally, the last Pokemon of the day, Inventor's third evolution. As I mentioned, all of the evolutions are based on human transportations. In this Pokemon's case, I based it on a plane, so naturally I had to go with a flying dinosaur such as a pterodactyl. Meet Turbidon, the plane Pokemon. This Pokemon can fly through any storm without losing its balance, making it a perfect Pokemon to transport you even in the worst of conditions. As for its hidden ability, I went with Wind Rider, which enhances its attack when hit with a wind move, or if it finds itself inside a tail. And that's it for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Remember everyone, be sure to subscribe, and more importantly, leave a comment letting me know what you want me to do next. See you in the next one.